Their intellectual acumen is their greatest weapon. It enables them to plot elaborate crimes and elude capture. In California, Edmund Kemper was imprisoned for killing his grandparents in 1964. He tricked the system into releasing him early, then launched into a year-long killing spree. 19th century Chicago. Dr. H. Holmes slaughtered victims in his hotel and then sold their body parts. For him, murder was thrilling and profitable. 1977, Ted Kaczynski disappeared into the wilderness to plan an elaborate series of attacks. He terrorized the US for nearly 20 years. In each case, the murders were gruesome, vicious, and evil. But no two evil acts are the same. The 22-point scale is a tool to quantify murderers and their crimes. Forensic psychiatrist Dr. Michael Stone of Columbia University in New York created the scale. Dr. Stone explores the killers' histories to understand what motivates them.
Serial killers in general are cunning. They must strategize, plot, and scheme to execute their plans. But those who most successfully carry out their murders are exceptionally clever and smart. These killers usually occupy the higher levels on the scale of evil.
Edmund Kemper was one of these mastermind killers.
We're talking about a cold, hard murder, and mayhem and assault and robbery and rape.
Northern California, 1972. The morning before Easter Sunday, Edmund Kemper made his bed, washed up, and left the house. The home was tidy, still. It seemed like an unremarkable day, but for Kemper it was momentous. He had just realized his childhood dream of killing his mother. After she had drawn her last breath, he whispered to himself, "Poetic justice." She was one of Kemper's 10 victims.
Kemper is among the most gruesome serial killers. This towering 6'9" man slaughtered, butchered, even devoured his victims. He delighted in killing, and due to his intelligence, his crimes went long unnoticed.
What compelled him to kill his own mother? And how did his intelligence and skillful deceit fuel his killing rampage? To understand the roots of Kemper's sadism, Dr. Stone examined his past. He uncovered nightmarish details. Kemper was raised in a tumultuous household. His parents separated when he was 4. He and his 2 sisters stayed with their mother, who was embittered by the split. She berated young Kemper and even locked him in the cellar for months at a time. There, Kemper created fantasies. He imagined killing his mother, her friends, his teacher. The isolation seemed to engender hate within him. He took out his anger on his sister's dolls, cutting off their heads and limbs. This childhood aggression foreshadowed Edmund Kemper's later crimes. Edmund Kemper had the misfortune of spending his childhood in a dysfunctional and abusive household. His parents' marriage disintegrated when he was a young child, and his mother remained bitter about the breakup. She often took it out on her only son, belittling him and locking him in the cellar for long periods.
His mother is the defining figure in Kemper's childhood. The rage that she feels for her husband is directed onto her son. The oppression Kemper experiences slowly builds to anger within him.
As a teenager, Kemper lived between his mother's and his grandparents' homes. His grandparents made him feel like a burden and unwanted. In August of 1964, in a fit of rage, he shot and killed them. He was sent to a mental institution for adult prisoners, though only 15 years old. While there, he mastered skills in deception. He also scored 136 on IQ tests, of superior intelligence, one doctor noted. Surrounded by psychopaths, he spent his days learning about their crimes. He also befriended the psychologists who were treating him and earned a job as a research aide administering psychological tests to other inmates. Kemper memorized 22 of the tests. Not surprisingly, he scored high marks when he himself was tested and won praise from the psychologists. He was released early, in 1969.
Kemper uses his intelligence to trick the authorities. This makes brilliant killers among the most dangerous criminals. They have foresight and the capacity to outsmart not only their victims, but also their captors. To do so, they are extremely calculating and scheming. They carry out their crimes with absolute precision. And when put in an environment that triggers their rage, they are merciless.
When released, Kemper, then 20 years old, was sent back to live with his mother.
But I was put right back in the pressure cooker that I was hatched out of. It was a very sick and very depressive and very unhealthy relationship.
His mother continued to taunt Kemper, telling him he was a failure like his father. Each time they argued, he would storm out of the house and drive about aimlessly. He would sometimes pass young female hitchhikers. He began to pick them up, enjoying their company and their vulnerability. Kemper's first victims were two female university students. He picked them up, then shot and killed them in his car. He took the bodies home and dismembered them, just as he had done to his sister's dolls. He saved some of the body parts in the refrigerator as trophies and even cannibalized some of them. The rest he discarded along the California coast. He eventually killed and mutilated 6 young women. Each murder he later described as a fantasy come to life. The police had no idea who the killer might be.
It wasn't just a happenstance, haphazard murder spree of a year. It was 50 weeks of planned killing.
With each murder, he became more excited, more empowered, and more charged to kill again, and more savagely each time.
Kemper's rage drove him to kill university girls, but in the end he directed his anger towards the source of his rage, his mother. On the Saturday before Easter, he bludgeoned and decapitated her in her bedroom. He then invited a friend of his mother's over and killed her. The next day, he turned himself in.
During Kemper's childhood, his mother was an abusive presence. As he got older, he channeled his aggression into murder. Targeting female hitchhikers, in a sense, was like killing his mother over and over again. Ultimately, killing his mother was his form of retribution, closure.
Edmund Kemper was given 7 consecutive life sentences. Dr. Stone places him on the scale.
Because of the serial nature of his crimes and the sadistic pleasure Edmund Kemper experienced, I would place him on level 22 of my scale. This is the highest category, a place for torture murderers whose crimes involve butchery and sexual assault. He is undeniably one of the most evil killers still alive.
How could Kemper kill with his bare hands? Is there something fundamentally different about him that makes him a cold-blooded killer? Some researchers are investigating the biology of human empathy. It starts with what are called mirror neurons, brain cells that fire both when an action is performed and when the same action is observed.
What mirror neurons do is to really be the building block of social behavior in our brain.
Marco Iacoboni of the University of California at Los Angeles studies mirror neurons and the role they play in learning empathy. He believes that mirror neurons tell the brain how to read and feel emotions. People without these mirror cells cannot empathize with others. They cannot see pain being felt by another person. To test his hypothesis, Iacoboni had research subjects undergo functional MRI scans as they observed and responded to emotional cues. They were shown pictures of people expressing happiness or anger. First, they were told to simply observe the images. Then they were asked to mimic the emotions. The results were intriguing. The brain scans showed that mirror cells communicate between two parts of the brain, connecting an action to a feeling. Brain activity starts in the region responsible for muscle movement. The mirror cells instruct the brain to literally mirror the observed action. The cells then send an impulse to the brain's emotional centers, connecting an emotion to that action. Thus, when normal people see a smile, they experience happiness. These are the building blocks of empathy.
When I feel certain emotions, I express those emotions with my own body, with my own face.
Iacoboni validated his theory by testing unlikely subjects. Autistic patients who generally lack the ability to empathize.
And I want you to point to the face that shows how she's feeling in the picture. Show me angry.
Autistics know how to describe emotions.
Angry. Embarrassed.
But many have difficulty feeling or expressing them.
Show me joy.
Functional MRI scans of the autistic subjects showed very little activation of mirror neurons. The more severe the autism, the less activity in the mirror neuron system. There's no correlation between autism and violence, but Iacoboni believes that a detachment between mirror neurons and the emotional centers of the brain may block feelings of empathy and provides a key to explaining violence.